guys, welcome or welcome back. If you're new here, my name's Bethany. I'm the girl behind Well Love Knits. And as you can tell, we're going to do a knit and chat today. And I'm very excited to be answering some questions that you guys have sent over to me. So over on Instagram, I asked if you guys would be interested in doing a little bit of a Q&A for the next knit and chat or two. And I was really excited that you guys had a lot of cool questions to ask me. So we're gonna spend some time answering those. When I was scrolling through them, because I've already had a look to see what kind of questions you guys sent in, there were a lot of common questions, a lot about pregnancy, a lot about expat life. So what I was thinking is that I would, kind of separate the two and really focus on the pregnancy questions today. And then maybe in another episode, we will talk about what it's like to live in another country as an American. So today we are going to be talking about like baby things, pregnancy, how my pregnancy's going, baby names, that sort of thing. Those are the kind of questions that I was seeing. So if that's not your thing, I will catch you next time. But if you're interested in that kind of topic, then stick around and let's keep each other company while we work on whatever it is that we're working on. I'm going to be working on a knitting project today and one that I'm like so obsessed with right now. It is so cute. Do you see this thing? Do you see this little sweater? It is adorable. This is the Friday Sweater Baby by none other than Petite Knit. And this is a top-down raglan knit with broken rib stitch, I believe. The sample of this sweater is super cute. It's like white as the main color, and then it has red stripes. It's very adorable. However, when I was going on Instagram for inspiration quite a long time ago for like baby things, the Friday Sweater Babies that I was most attracted to were ones that had different colors for all the stripes, so alternating colors, like I'm doing right here. So when I was planning out my baby knits, I was really thinking about how I would want potentially a Friday Sweater Baby to look. And I was thinking that I would be able to use some scraps. I kind of imagined it as my last baby knit, like the finale. But I figured, I already have a lot of scraps already, so why put it off if I'm interested in working on it? And I say this every time, but this has just been so much fun to knit. I've been kind of addicted to it. So I've kind of been flying through the yoke and now I'm onto the body, which is really, really exciting. And I'm really loving the colors that I'm going for because since they are scraps, I think they work really well together. And then they also match some of the other things that I've knit baby already in his wardrobe. So you can tell that my favorite brown nougat is here. We have that light blue from Knitting for Olive as well. And then this gray color right here was actually used for the Monday suit that I knit up for baby. It was one of the first projects that I did. And I got 3 balls for it. And I only used 2 of the 3, but I used every last scrap of those first 2 balls. So I had a fresh ball to kind of dive into for this project. So I'll have a lot left over here and even still with the brown nougat. So I'll potentially be able to knit up something else. We'll see. A lot of Knitting for Olive in baby's wardrobe. If that's going to bite me later, if I'm going to kick myself later for that, I don't know. But Knitting for Olive non-superwash merino is what I should say. I don't know if I'm going to be upset about that later on, but for now, I'm happy with it. So I consciously chose to knit up the 4 to 6 months because since this is a top-down raglan knit, the one feature of this baby knit that I think is kind of odd is that there's no buttons or anything like that. It's really just a pull-over sweater, which there's actually a lot of stretch here in the neckband, but I was a little bit nervous about that because I didn't want to do that for like a newborn size or something a little bit younger. So I'm thinking at like 4 months, maybe it'll be better to do whatever. Many people have knit this up and I've seen it on babies as well. So I don't think it's really going to be an issue. I think I did a good job keeping it nice and stretchy, but the reason that I chose an older size was so that I would be a little bit more confident fitting it over his head to dress him up in it. So that's basically the whole spiel on this sweater. I think it is turning out absolutely adorable. And I'm really, really loving this knit. I think the broken rib stitch, normally I don't know how I would feel about that for a sweater for me, for example. But in such a small circumference, knitting this stitch has just been so much fun. Because you alternate on one row, you do knits and purls like a regular rib, and then on the next row you knit across the whole way. And then adding that with the different stripes that you have to add in, it's been a lot of fun. And, you know, actually I am very tempted to knit the Friday sweater for myself as well. It's actually a pattern that I own. And I think I've just put it off, you know. It's not my normal kind of knit. I think I always tend to go for like the warm, chunky, like swaddle yourself, like snuggle up in big turtleneck type sweaters. But I always purchase and have in my wish list these like more spring compatible, like early fall sweaters, like the Friday tee. It's not a sweater, it's a Friday tee. So it's like a 3/4 length sleeve, I believe. So I have that. And I was thinking about making it this year actually, but I haven't gotten around to it. And this is definitely making me want to, because then we could match. And that was never important to me before, but now it's starting to be a little important to me. I think that would be really fun to match with each other. So, and I'm only like, that's solidifying because, you know, I'm having so much fun knitting this one up. I'm actually enjoying the broken rib stitch pattern throughout, which is something that I actually didn't think that I would enjoy. So yeah, that might really influence my fall knitting plans, but we'll talk more about that later. I don't know if I'm going to regret having this as a whip, actually, for this knit and chat, because you guys know, anytime that I work on something that's a little bit more complex, i.e. not stockinette stitch, I end up messing up. And then most of the time I don't realize it when I'm chatting with you guys, but I instead notice it when I'm working on it later and it's many, many rows back, and then I have to frog, and then it gets really dramatic. I get really upset. So we'll see if I regret this, is basically what I'm trying to say. I'm hoping no, because at this point I've gotten past all of the increases, so the real mental work is done. You know, trying to remember if I'm on an increase row or not. The only thing I guess now that I could potentially mess up on is when to add in the stripes. But I just added a stripe in, so I think we're gonna be just fine. Yeah, so I'm in a really good mood today, so I'm very excited to be chatting with you guys and answering these questions. I picked out a couple based, again, like I said, on the topic of baby pregnancy, baby knits, that sort of thing. And we're just gonna go through them and sit and knit together, obviously. The first one, though, is not really a baby-related question. I really wanted to set the record straight because it has come to my attention that I don't actually look my age. So this question was, how old are you? By the way, congratulations on your pregnancy. Thank you very much. I am 28 years old. I know I look a lot younger. I think a lot of people are assuming that I'm in school because a lot of the questions were also about, like, am I a student or what am I doing? And yeah, I just want to set the record straight. I'm 28 years old. I graduated college in 2016 and I haven't been back since, so I've been in the workforce. And my birthday is in April. So I'm an Aries, if you pay attention to astrology. I used to, but I don't really that much anymore. The only extent to which I really pay attention to it is kind of like the personality traits. of, certain signs. So since I'm an Aries, I'm I can be rash and impulsive, short-tempered, and impatient, but also very ambitious, that kind of thing. Like, there are good things too. My husband is also an Aries. His birthday is in April. We have birthdays very close to each other. So you can imagine the household. No, we work really well together, and I love that. It's actually him that helps me remember my birthday. So I know he's 1 year older than me. He's 29. So I remember my age actually by remembering his, because for whatever reason, I have a really hard time when people are asking me that right now. How old are you? It's really difficult to remember. Is that just for me? I don't know. Maybe it's because of the last couple of years have kind of all melted together a little bit. So it's kind of difficult to keep track about how time is passing. Time is wild. That's all I've got to say. Yeah. So my husband and I met in 2015. So this year we will have been together for 7 years, which is just insane. So time is wild. Yeah, but I'm not too upset that I look young, right? For my age, it used to really bother me. But I think as I'm getting older, I'm actually kind of excited to see, like, how young will I look in the future, kind of thing. So maybe it's more of a blessing than a curse. Okay, so let's get into the baby myths. So what is your favorite and least favorite thing about being pregnant? That's really hard. I'm tempted to say that I love everything about being pregnant. I've just really embraced this experience, and I was very excited to become pregnant. So when I got pregnant, I was, very excited about it. I'm very happy that this experience has been a really positive one, because I know for a lot of women, it's not necessarily the case. There were a couple of things here and there. Of course, I had my own challenges to deal with, but overall, I have just been really loving this natural process and the changes that come with pregnancy. And I said this before, but like, witnessing the growth of a human life inside of me is just really special. I think you can really bond with the baby that you're carrying. And yeah, it's just really special, and not many, not everyone can do it, or not everybody wants to do it. Yeah, it's just a really feminine experience, and it's a really unique experience. And I feel very empowered as a pregnant lady. And I just can only say sing its praises and say positive things about my personal experience. So to answer your question more specifically, I think my favorite thing about being pregnant is feeling baby move. I really enjoy having that connection with him and kind of witnessing his movements and feeling his presence. I think, it's so unique. It's so special. I really enjoy that. This also might be an unpopular opinion, but I actually really enjoy the changes in my body as well. I mean, to an extent. I think at first I was a little, like many women, I think, having a hard time realizing, okay, I'm gaining a lot of weight during pregnancy in some areas that maybe I didn't have it before. Especially, in the traditional areas, your boobs, your butt, your legs. Those are the areas where you might not want to gain a lot of weight. But also, being this pregnant, I feel very feminine, if that makes sense. This just feels really beautiful at the same time. So while I'm having a hard time with the scale, not really, but while it is kind of hard to wrap your head around it and kind of mentally accept it, at the same time, the physical changes I actually find to be very beautiful and very natural. So that's another thing that I actually really like. My least favorite thing, I would say, would be hip pain, because now that I've gained a lot more weight, my hips hurt and my knees also hurt with the weight, like trying to hold me up kind of thing. But that's really as bad as it's gotten. Might get worse as the weeks progress, but we'll see. How difficult have you found pregnancy? Any symptoms, cravings, etc.? So this kind of overlaps with the last question a little bit. Maybe my answer might have, addressed some of these, but as far as my current symptoms go, it's, just hip pain and knee pain and maybe some swelling because I'm retaining water in this heat. As far as cravings go, though, like I was actually expecting to have wild cravings throughout my entire pregnancy, and that just didn't happen. In the first couple of months, in the first trimester, I had aversions for sure. I've talked about those. I did not like coffee. Didn't like the smell of coffee. I didn't want coffee around me, which was so tragic because I'm a coffee lover. And then I was also very repulsed by knitting, which was another really tragic thing. So two things that I really loved, I just couldn't stand, which that was really hard. And that made the first trimester really difficult for me because I felt terrible, but the things that brought me joy, I couldn't do. So honestly, those first couple of months were kind of a blur. January is always a blur for me though. Like from year to year, it always seems to be like that 1 month I always just try to forget. I don't know why. Maybe it's like post holiday blues kind of thing. But this year especially, because I wasn't feeling very well, I didn't have anything to kind of distract me besides, I guess, watching movies or TV or something like that. But mainly I just slept. So the first trimester is really the hardest one. It's not a lot of fun. But when you get past that, second trimester, the third trimester, you feel so much better. The second trimester is apparently like the best one. And I can vouch for that. I feel like throughout my second trimester, I felt really good, but no cravings really. So the one craving that I had in the first trimester was sandwiches. Like that sounded so good to me. But then in second and third now, I don't really have much of a craving for anything specific. I guess I'm leaning into sweets a lot more than I normally would. I'm not normally a sweets person. I actually just don't like cake and icing. Like I had a bad experience when I was a little kid and I have hated icing ever since. I can eat it now, but I stay away from it even still. So I've never really been somebody who needs to eat sweets every day, but I've kind of turned into that. I need something sweet in the afternoon or after dinner, like after a meal. I want something just small to kind of, satisfy that craving. So I guess you could count that as one. Well, actually, this isn't so much as a craving that it is a lifestyle change. So before I was pregnant, for 3 years, I was vegan, then I was vegetarian, and then I got pregnant and I've started eating meat and dairy. So that's also something I guess I'm craving or interested in eating meat more than I was before. But again, I don't really think that's much of a craving. So at least for me, it's not very true that in pregnancy you have so many crazy cravings. Like I'm not getting my husband to run out in the middle of the night for like pudding or something like that. I don't have that kind of like urge food wise or for anything really. I don't know. So that's something that surprised me, I think, about pregnancy. What scares you the most about labor and delivery? Well, I mean, to be honest, I'm not really trying to think about it in a negative way. I feel like any kind of negative thoughts around labor and delivery won't do me any good. So I've been trying to really like think of the positives and just, really be more welcoming to that experience and not trying to focus on the fear. But I guess if I'm being honest, it's more of a general fear, just the fear of the unknown, because it's something that I've never gone through before. I've never experienced labor So I don't know what it's going to be like. And I think that's probably the scariest thing about it. But then again, like I'm saying, it's not really scary. It's just a new experience. And with that, you don't know what to expect. So you can have a little bit of butterflies and just wondering, because you just don't know for sure. But I think even for like second time moms, third time moms, they might have the same feeling as well. So it's not just a first time mom thing, because every labor can be different. Every pregnancy can be different. So I don't think that's very unique to me. But I think if you've been through it before, you can kind of, help yourself out a little bit with the expectation and knowing a little bit what to expect. Yes, but since I don't know what to expect, that's kind of my biggest fear. But what I have been doing is trying to like grow confidence in myself and in my body. And I've been listening to a really good YouTube channel. I know her Instagram account is Built to Birth, but on YouTube, it's her name. It's Bridget Taylor, I think, but it's spelled differently. So I'm going to find her channel and leave a link in the description in case you're interested and you're a mama, because I think there are quite a few mamas out here knitting baby clothes with me. I've seen you guys in the comments. So I've been listening to a lot of her videos, trying to prepare, just learning what to expect. And I've taken birth classes with my husband, which was helpful as well. But for me, the thing that I'm really focusing on for labor and delivery is to, again, build that confidence in myself and in my body, reminding myself that this is a very natural process and that our bodies are literally built to do this, which is something that the Built to Birth account really promotes. And she talks a lot about, just your mindset and trying to build that confidence, because if you believe that you can do it, it's really just a mind game. That's what I hear a lot, is that labor and delivery is a mind game. And if you allow yourself to be surrounded with fear in that, then you might. Then it might be a little bit more of a difficult experience than you bargained for. Or maybe not. Maybe that's naive, but that's what I'm doing to prepare. I'm just reminding myself that there are so many women who have done this before me successfully, and some before all of the technology that we have today. So we're very lucky to have a lot of technology that can keep me and my baby safe during delivery. So yeah, it's still something that I have to work through. But I don't feel alone in that situation. And I know that I'll have a really good support system during my labor. My husband will be there with me, and I'm very excited about that. Do you have a name for baby? Are you going for a traditional or unique baby name? And then there's a third question about baby names. Baby names you love but won't be using. So we do already have a name for baby picked out. We kind of knew it immediately when we found out that we were having a boy. We kind of knew exactly what name we wanted, because this is not something that came out of nowhere. We've been talking about babies and baby names and things, so we've been kind of dreaming about it for a while. And so we had some names, I think, that we already really loved, that we were prepared to use, and then we kind of agreed upon a name pretty early on in the pregnancy. Now, my mom and my dad were like, well, you should wait and see, you don't know until the baby's here. And I definitely understand that too, because apparently when I was born, they had another name for me. And then when I was born, I apparently didn't look like that name, and I looked like a Bethany. So I won't say that it's 100%. Maybe we could go back on it, but I doubt it, because we really, really love the name a lot. So we have a first and a middle name. Now, to answer your question about the traditional or unique name, it's a traditional name, and we're more into, traditional style names, like older names, more established. I don't know. names that have been around a while. I think we really love those. So we're interested. I thought I almost messed up. Yeah, that's what we're interested in naming for all of our children. All of our children. Let's stick with one first. Yeah, but then baby names that I love that I won't be using. That's really difficult because we knew the name kind of immediately what we wanted to do, or what we wanted to name him. So we don't have like a huge long list of names that we were like kind of debating about. But just to give like some examples, I am from, on one side of my family, it's Irish Catholic family, very large Irish Catholic family. And there are a lot of traditional names, my aunts and uncles and cousins. And there are so many that I wouldn't use just because they've been used so much already. So we have a lot of Pauls, we have a lot of Johns, we have a lot of Michaels, we have a lot of, yeah, I think that's it. So those names right there, I really love those names, but wouldn't use them just because there are just so many already in my family that I don't need to confuse all of us anymore. So yeah, maybe that gives you kind of an idea of the kind of names we enjoy. I do love unique names though. I guess I'm not creative enough to kind of think for unique names. How do you think Molly will go with baby boy? You know what? I have no idea. And I have to say that might be my biggest worry, if not my only worry about when baby is here, is what it's going to be like with Molly, because she is very much used to having full reign of this apartment. This is her apartment. She's lived here for a while, so she knows the ins and outs, and she can go into any room that she wants. She can sit on basically anything that she wants to, and that's just not going to be the case when the baby's here. We're going to have to set some boundaries, especially for sleeping. We plan on having a bassinet next to the bed for the first couple of months, and I'm just worried about her jumping into it, to be honest. I don't know how that's going to go and how I can kind of convince her not to be obsessed with it, because cats are like that. When they can't do something, they become obsessed with it, and they want very much to do what you do not want them to do. And I love that about cats, to be honest. Like, that's why I'm a cat lover, because I just love how independent and how, free-minded. That's not the word, but I'll go with it. But I just love that about them. But I'm not going to be too much of a fan of it when I'm going to be trying to get her out of the bassinet. So what I've actually read, tips on how to manage cats with newborns and babies, is, especially for the bassinet, set up the bassinet early and put tinfoil in it. And that should scare her a little bit, because she is kind of a scaredy cat too. So if she has a negative experience with the bassinet by trying to jump in and then jumping on a bunch of aluminum foil, she absolutely hates aluminum foil, maybe that will deter her enough that she'll never want to touch the bassinet ever again. Maybe. If you have any tips, definitely let me know. Seasoned mamas out there with cats, let me know what you did to make sure that your cat didn't get into any trouble with your newborn. I am kind of banking on the fact that since she doesn't really love loud noises all that much, he's going to open his mouth one time and she will bolt the other way. Like, if he starts crying the first time she hears him cry, she's probably going to be like, heck no, and kind of cower in another room and kind of shut herself off. I'm kind of hoping that that's the case. I'm hoping that that is what's going to happen. If not, we'll have a little bit of issues, but we'll see. I'm fingers crossed on that one. But again, yeah, tips would be appreciated. This one I got a lot because I think you guys are just really excited about baby, and I appreciate that. That's so lovely. But this question was, will you show us baby or will you keep him private? And, this is something I've kind of gotten back and forth on. I don't know what the best answer is. I don't think there is a better answer. It's just whatever you as a parent want to do. But for me, my gut is kind of telling me to keep him private. And I will definitely share his name. I'll share his arrival. I will share in the most creative ways possible him wearing all of the outfits that I've created, because I mean, that's also something that I really want to show off as well. I spent all the time making all of these baby knits. I want to show how cute he is in all of these baby knits. But then at the same time, my gut feeling is just not to, you know? I've really admired moms that are at least very active on social media, that kind of keep their children at arm's length with social media. Just to give them that privacy, I think is really nice. And I kind of want to do the same for my child as well. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to be very creative with angles. I definitely will have him in videos, because that's also the thing as well. Like, I want to continue to do these videos after he's here. I enjoy making these videos for you guys and for myself. I make them for me and for you, but I really enjoy it. And I just imagine with him here, I'm going to have to be, you know, recording around my new life. And that might mean he will be very close by, but I'm going to do the best as I can to kind of protect his identity. At least for the first few years, until he's, you know, much older. I think that's what I'm comfortable with. Who knows if I'm going to change my mind or not, but that's just my gut maternal instinct at the moment is to, keep him private. But that's not to say that I won't share some things about him. And of course, you know, share life as a new mom. I think that could be a lot of fun too, to kind of like pair knitting and new mom life together in some of my future videos whenever I'm able to make them again. Will your husband teach your baby Romanian? And another question was, what language will you teach baby first? Well, we're going to be speaking to baby majority in English, because that's the language that he and I talk to each other in. So we're going to be communicating a lot in English. We'll continue to be communicating a lot in English, and definitely want him to have English as his first language. My husband will be in charge of teaching him Romanian. And I'm excited about that too. I want him to learn Romanian because I think it's a very unique language. Not many people know it except for, I think, Romanians and partners of Romanians. And I think it will also be a good time for me to learn Romanian as well. I know a couple of words, but not to the extent to keep a conversation. I think I more recognize words when I hear him talk with my in-laws. So I can recognize words and kind of with context clues figure out what they're talking about. But that's very rare that they're speaking in another language in front of me. We normally all just talk to each other in English, which is nice, very considerate, and I appreciate it very much. But he will, yes. So I'm excited we'll pick up some books and things, and maybe then I can also learn it as well. Learn alongside of him, which will be kind of fun. And then I think since we are living in Brussels, we will probably pick up a few books in French. And if we end up staying here long term, he's going to learn either French or Dutch or both. So he will be a very, very cultured person if we end up staying here in Brussels, because of all of the languages that they need to learn. Because, yeah, in the public schools, they learn both French and Dutch, if I'm not mistaken, unless we take him somewhere else. But that is way so far in the future. I have no idea. Really don't even know what our plans are in terms of that. So we'll see. So for the first couple of years of life, we will be the ones to teach him languages, and Romanian is definitely on the list, and then French is a good one too. But I don't really know. I'll have to do more research into it. But again, this is months and maybe a year or so down the line when Like how's the best way to teach multiple languages to your kid without confusing them? I don't know. I know that they're like sponges, so it shouldn't be very difficult. And that's like the time that you want to teach foreign languages. So then they are like so good at them for the rest of their lives. That's the kickstart, you know? Yeah, I just don't know. Like can you confuse them? I don't know. I'm going to have to do some research on that. But being in Europe, I think, is definitely a good place for that. So, and I think learning languages is extremely important, and I would really love him to know more than just English. It's not something that we put a lot of emphasis on in the US. Maybe we do now, I don't know. But, you know, growing up, it wasn't a huge thing. But here in Europe, it's a huge thing. So I would like to adopt that from Europe, regardless if we stay here or not. All right, so last question. What is your plan for YouTube when baby comes? Yeah, so I kind of mentioned it a little bit in one of the last questions, is that I am interested in continuing YouTube when baby is here. The reality is I won't really be able to keep up with it, at least at the start. And I think I also might go on a little bit of a break early before baby comes to kind of, just prepare and soak up those last couple of moments and just enjoy it. But then again, I don't know, like I said, I really enjoy making these videos. So if I can still make them, I will. It's just that when baby's here, I'm going to be adapting to a new life, a new season of life. And there's going to be a lot of things that's just new for me. So obviously my priorities will be taking care of baby when he's here versus, you know, posting a video every week. And I know you guys also understand that as well. So there will be some time where I'm trying to learn how to balance that. And I think until we get into like a really solid schedule with baby, I won't really feel comfortable coming back, at least regularly. And I'll keep you guys posted on that, you know, like in what I end up planning on doing. But I just envision that if I do come back before the next year, it would probably just be in like a one-off video or something like that. I don't know if it would be a full schedule. I'm thinking that I will go on quote unquote maternity leave until the beginning of next year. So from September, October, November, December, I will, you know, be away. That being said, though, in full transparency, I do have a lot of videos that I want to share with you guys before I go. You know, these knit and chats, obviously, I really would love to continue to do as much as I can. I have knitting podcasts. I wanted to share my Me Made maternity wardrobe. I wanted to share a final video on everything that I made for baby. And other videos as well. I have some ideas. So I am kind of planning or playing with the idea of recording a couple of videos in advance, just to, you know, post automatically once I'm on maternity leave. But again, I'm also not going to like break my back to, create all those videos, because I know you guys also understand the situation that I'm in, and I don't need to, I want to show up for you guys, but I know I don't have to break my back to do it, if that makes sense. So I appreciate your understanding in this, and I appreciate your curiosity about it as well, because I will miss you guys when I go, and I will want to definitely get back to it when I can. So I hope that answers the question. I'm gonna try and put myself on a schedule with it so that I will have at least maybe 2 videos or so that will just automatically go when I'm gone. But if I can't get to it, I'm also not going to kick myself for it. Yeah. So those were all of the questions that I had on the short list for this pregnancy Q&A, this little pregnancy knit and chat. I hope you guys found it interesting. I know that we're not all in this season of life. I know that there are a lot of seasoned moms out there. I know that there are people who've been there, done that kind of thing, and then I know that there are people who are not even interested in being pregnant now or in the future either. So, but at the same time, I hope it was interesting to kind of hear my perspective on that and, just learn a little bit about what our plans are and what has happened and how I'm liking pregnancy and what I think about it. I hope you enjoyed it. As far as my work in progress goes, I didn't get very far at all. Like, at all. I think I only worked like 3 rows. But it's still looking as cute as ever, so I'm not really that upset. And I know when I have more of like, I'm not answering questions and I'm more focused on the whip, it's just been flying off the needles, to be honest. I really, really recommend this pattern. If you find it cute at all, definitely give it a look and see if maybe you want to knit this up for some baby in your life. I would really recommend using scraps. I think it's a really, really cute scrap busting project. And I might have to make more, who knows? I'm kind of in love with it. I'm kind of obsessed with it. There was another question that I actually didn't add on to the list, but I'm remembering it now. It was, what is your favorite baby knit so far? And honestly, it's probably this one. But then I think my answer would just be whatever my latest whip is, because every time I have a baby knit on the needles, I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is my favorite one. None of them have been this cute. And then I look at all of them and I'm like, they've all been so cute. And I felt that way about all of them. So that's my answer. All of my current whip is always the one that I find to be my favorite. But I'm really excited to do that baby knits lineup video. I think it will be really cool to have every piece next to each other, and I'll do like a little bit of an explanation of all of them and maybe even rate them on what you should knit. Like what should be knit first and what can like be let go. But honestly, I think I would recommend all of the patterns that I've knit up so far. So maybe that format won't really work. I really can't get enough of this. I think the colors are just way too cute on this. I'm definitely gonna have to make more, for sure. But I'm gonna do that later. I'm gonna leave this here for now. I wanna thank you guys so much for spending some time with me, for clicking on this video and sitting and knitting and chatting with me. I really do appreciate your company while we got a couple of rows in on whatever it is we're working on. Or not, maybe you're working on something else. I hope this was a nice productive session for you. If you enjoyed this Q&A, this knit and chat video, definitely consider giving this a like. It really helps me out. And if you want to stick around, I would love to have you here. You can subscribe, and that way you'll know whenever I post another video like this. So thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.